Hello, I am Congresswoman Valerie Foushee, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak with you all alongside Mac Johnson, Vice President of AFGE Region 2, and President of AFGE Local 499, Nina Schlossberg Landis, the Vice Chair of Raleigh-Durham International Airport Authority Board, and Amy Barrows, President and CEO of the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina. Since February 14th, thousands of federal workers across our country have been waking up every single day wondering when their next paycheck will arrive. And for over a month now, the same workers who keep our country running, frontline workers who show up, do their jobs, and keep us safe, are going to bed at night uncertain whether they will be able to pay rent, buy groceries, or cover basic necessities. This is unacceptable, and it speaks to how deeply broken this situation has become when TSA officers, critical federal workers who are responsible for the safety of millions of passengers passing through our airports, are forced to work without pay because of partisan gridlock in Washington. Congress has a responsibility to ensure these workers are paid. There is no justification for withholding pay from people who are doing essential work every single day. And what is especially frustrating is that this did not have to happen. During the shutdown, Democrats have made multiple attempts to pass funding for essential Department of Homeland Security operations, including TSA and FEMA, while continuing to push for accountability and reforms at ICE. And over the past several days, we saw a potential path forward when a deal to fund DHS agencies was put on the table, only for that agreement to fall apart before it could be finalized. Now, according to reports, negotiations in the Senate may be moving again toward a possible deal. But for workers living through this shutdown, the back and forth in Washington doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't put food on the table, and it doesn't provide for the certainty families need. Until an agreement is actually passed by Congress and signed into law, TSA officers and other federal workers remain in limbo, still working, still serving the public, and still not receiving the paychecks they have earned. Meanwhile, the House Republican leadership is preparing to leave D.C. at the end of the week without any meaningful action to ensure frontline workers receive their pay. This will only result in more missed paychecks and more families forced to make impossible choices. Our communities deserve better than this cycle of chaos and brinkmanship. They deserve a government that functions and delivers stability. North Carolina's 4th District has already faced significant federal funding challenges in recent years, and now federal workers who keep the American people safe are once again bearing the consequences of inaction in Washington. Here at home, working families and local organizations are feeling the strain of this administration and this partial government shutdown. In our region, we are blessed to have food banks like the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, who are stepping up, as they always do, to support our neighbors in need. However, as Republicans in the General Assembly stall on passing a new state budget and the shutdown in Washington continues, the burden on these food banks has never been higher. In our country, where Congress has failed to properly address food scarcity, we must do everything in our power to support food initiatives like these, not just during a shutdown, but year-round, to ensure that they have the resources and tools needed to support our communities. Instead, we are living in a reality where the killings of American citizens like Renee Good and Alex Preddy by ICE is causing further instability to our national security because the Republican majority refuses to meet the moment with action. I am proud to stand alongside House Democrats in fighting for a discharge petition to force a vote in the House on legislation to fund TSA and other departments under DHS except for ICE and Border Patrol. There is no reason why disagreements over the funding of two specific law enforcement agencies should jeopardize the salaries of federal workers who have nothing to do with the lives lost due to ICE, or the mass agents who continue to sweep up hardworking immigrants across our communities. Any funding solution must reflect our values. We need an approach that not only ensures federal workers are paid, but also protects the safety and rights of people in our communities. And that means recognizing that our national security is strongest when it is rooted in accountability, transparency, and respect for human rights, not policies that create fear, instability, or harm. We can and must pursue a path forward that keeps our country safe and protects the people who call it home. To our federal workers, I want you to know that I stand with you. I will work tirelessly to ensure that Congress delivers the paychecks that you rightfully deserve. Congress must act with urgency to bring stability to these families and the communities that depend on them. Now, I would like to turn it over to Mac Johnson, Vice President of AFGE Region 2 and President of AFGE Local 499, who will share more about how this shutdown is affecting the federal workers here in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I want to make a correction. That was an old bio. I'm the Executive Vice President for the TSA Council 100 nationwide and the President of AFG Local 0449, which our jurisdiction are the states of North Carolina, West Virginia, Virginia, and Maryland. We represent approximately 3,000. Yeah, we represent approximately 3,000 bargaining unit employees across the 4 states. I have done, in my travels since this shutdown started, this third shutdown started on February 14th. I've traveled to all the major and small airports throughout the 4 states. This current shutdown has been devastating on the employees as well as their families. I just got off a conference call, a press conference a few moments ago, and I would say the same thing here. It's not that these employees are currently hungry. They're beginning to starve. They're beginning to starve. So I, like any other TSA employee, we not only ask or encourage Congress to do its job, we demand that the Congress in this current administration sit down together at a table and negotiate. There should be no such thing as a recess during this current shutdown. These TSA employees go to work every day. The airports are open 7 days a week. And we, as employees, strongly encourage members of Congress to do the same. Stay open until this matter is resolved. And also in my interactions with the members with regard to this current shutdown, we have folks who are receiving eviction notices from their apartments. But they're behind on their mortgages and facing foreclosure. We got parents out here who cannot afford to take their children to daycare. They can't go to work because they have yet to pay the daycare bills. We got folks out here selling plasma to make ends meet, to try to get some sort of income. We got folks out here on food, applying for food stamps. And keep in the back of your mind, these are federal employees. It's actually a disgrace that we should be having to go through this at this time. Now, for full disclosure, I am a retired TSA employee. I retired in 2020. However, I remain on as the local president because I love our union and I love the TSA employees' mission, which is to protect the flying public, ensure that these employees have their rights that are guaranteed not only in the Constitution of the United States, but as well as our collective bargaining agreement. So I want to echo what Congresswoman Foushee stated a few moments ago. These food banks across, not only in North Carolina, but across the country, they're maxed to the limit right now. Some have nothing to give. So if you should run your story this afternoon over the next couple of days, I've always asked on each and every shutdown, let's beef up the shelves at these food banks. Not only does that assist federal employees, will assist those in our communities as well. So I look forward to taking any questions at the conclusion of everyone's remarks, and thank you again for joining this press conference.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Congresswoman Foushee, for what you're doing here to support our community and all the things you do on behalf of all of us in the United States Congress. We're deeply, deeply grateful. I'm Nina Schlossberg-Landis. I'm Vice Chair of the Raleigh-Durham Authority Board, and I want to thank everyone for joining us today. You all know this, but every day at RDU, the Transportation Security Administration officers show up to do essential work, screening passengers, securing checkpoints, and ensuring the safety of everyone who travels through our airport. These individuals are critical to our mission. They interact with every commercial passenger and play a direct role in keeping our operations running smoothly and securely. And right now, they're doing that work without pay through no fault of their own. We are grateful that today RDU has not experienced significant delays at our security checkpoints despite the challenges the situation creates. But the longer this federal shutdown continues, the greater the risk is of real operational impacts. Those impacts will not just affect travel plans. They could ripple throughout our regional economy, disrupting business activity, tourism, and connectivity across the Research Triangle. Even in the face of uncertainty, our TSA employees continue to report to work each and every day for our passengers, for our airport, and for our community. That level of commitment goes well beyond professionalism. It reflects true dedication and personal sacrifice. Now, I know many of you are thinking to yourselves, what can I do? What can I do to help? The Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority is proud to stand in support of our TSA employees and their families. We are deeply grateful for their service. Earlier today, we partnered with the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina and the Diaper Bank of North Carolina to host a food and supply distribution event for TSA personnel. We sincerely appreciate their partnership and their leadership. We've also heard from many of you in our community asking about specific things that you can do to help during this crisis. Today, we're launching a gift card donation campaign at RDU to provide direct, meaningful support. TSA employees are permitted to accept grocery store and gas gift cards, specifically store branded cards, rather than general use cards like Visa or MasterCard. So, community members who would like to contribute can drop off those gift cards at TSA supervisor podiums located in the back of the security checkpoints in both Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. You do not need to be traveling to participate. Simply ask for a TSA supervisor or manager and let them know that you are there to make a donation. We're also developing additional ways to support TSA personnel and will continue to share those updates at rdu.com/TSA support and on our social media channels. In closing, the Research Triangle is a community that shows up for one another. Today is our opportunity to show up for the people who show up for us every single day. On behalf of the Airport Authority Board, I want to thank Congresswoman Valerie Foushee for all of her leadership. I want to thank everyone who is joining us today and to our partners at the Food Bank and Diaper Bank for their support. And most importantly, thank you to the dedicated TSA employees who continue to serve this community with professionalism, resilience, and commitment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you to Congresswoman Foushee, the RDU Airport Authority, and our partners with TSA and AFGE for being here and for your absolute incredible leadership in this moment. I wanted to start with the reality we are facing already across our region, and this was even before the shutdown. Right now, more than 600,000 people across central and eastern North Carolina are unsure where their next meal may come from. And to put that figure into context, that's 1 out of every 7 people we run into at the grocery store, at school drop-off, or out pumping gas. It's also the highest level of hunger we've seen in a generation, and unfortunately, it's still climbing. Every week, we are seeing more families turn to our network for help, and these are working families. These are neighbors who are doing everything right. And still, too many are coming up short at the cost of housing, groceries, and gas just continues to outpace what paychecks are covering. And now our TSA officers and their families are being pulled into that same just stark reality. TSA officers, as you've heard today, they continue to show up for work, keeping all of us safe as we travel without knowing when their next paycheck will arrive. We have people keeping us safe at airports while worrying about their own security and ability to put food on the table at night. As this shutdown stretches on, we know those pressures compound. We're hearing from families who are making the difficult choices you just heard about: rent and groceries, utilities and transportation. And in these impossible scenarios, when a paycheck disappears, food is often the first thing families cut. And that's not because it's optional, but because it's the most flexible bill they may have. For many TSA officers, this is new territory. Some are seeking help for the first time. Others are still recovering from the past disruptions. And I think it's really important to say out loud that it takes real courage to ask for help, especially when you're used to being the one others depend on. And that's why we believe our response has to meet both the urgency of the moment and the dignity that every family deserves. At the food bank, as you've heard, we've mobilized quickly alongside RDU Airport Authority, TSA leadership, elected leaders, and our partners like Food Lion. We're bringing food directly to TSA officers, organizing distributions at the airport site so it's easy to access and close to where they are. We're providing healthy pantry staples here at RDU and our other regional airports like Wilmington and Greenville. And these boxes will help TSA families fill the gap while our team connects them with longer-term support. And that's through our network of nearly 700 local partners and meal programs. And through our partnership with Food Lion, we've also been able to provide grocery store gift cards because we know flexibility and choice matters. Our efforts are often driven by 2 guiding principles. First, support has to meet people where they are, close to their home or work, and not ask neighbors to navigate more barriers in an already deeply stressful moment. And second, dignity isn't an add-on to this work, it's at the center of it. And that's why I want to speak directly to any TSA families who may be listening, reading, or watching this when it airs. If you're struggling right now, please know you are not alone, and this is exactly why the food bank exists. We are here for you, our network is here for you, and we will continue to show up for as long as this moment requires. At the same time, I do want to be candid about what we're seeing more broadly. You heard the need is rising rapidly. We're facing reductions in federal food supplies and ongoing uncertainty in our key programs. We are asked to do more when a time when we have less, and that is a challenge in place for any hunger relief organization right now. And that's why the community support continues to be so critical. Donations help us purchase food and keep our shelves full. Volunteers make it possible to move that food quickly into community, and your advocacy matters because ultimately ending the shutdown and strengthening the safety net requires action at all levels. Food banks are built for moments like this, but we are not meant to carry them alone. And this is a moment for all of us as a community to decide how we can show up together. And what I have seen in this community specifically, time and time again, is that when our neighbors are in need, this community steps forward. At our best, we do not let people fall through the cracks. We close them together, and that's what we're doing here. And that's what we'll continue to do, and that's what it will take to ensure that every family, including those who are working to keep us safe, has access to the food they need. Thank you.
Thank you so much to the speakers for sharing their remarks. Now we will open it up to any press questions. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, you can hit the react button and hit raise hand, and I will acknowledge people to speak. When you are called upon, please just state your name and outlet before asking your question. I see we have a question from Richard. Richard, you may now ask your question.
Okay. Hi. Thanks for this. Nina, you mentioned that there have not been significant delays at RDU, and I wondered back if you could talk some more about what the impact has been at RDU, whether you have people calling in sick, are you having to struggle to fill the shifts, and is ICE playing a role in helping you out?
Yes, thank you for your question. And please forgive me. I had to turn the video off. I'm driving to pick my grandson up from school right now. But yes, employees, TSA employees at RDU are showing up to work. However, I want to be quite frank. These employees, although they are broke, they're being threatened with disciplinary action for not showing up to work due to no fault of their own. Such as receiving absent without leave, commonly referred to as AWOL charges. They're doing shift trays, shift giveaways, just so that they won't face potential disciplinary actions. So, to my knowledge, no ICE RDU has not been a location designated for ICE at this time. However, I did watch the media throughout the day yesterday, and there are approximately 13 or 14 airports across the nation in which ICE officers have been deployed.
Okay, thank you. Next, we'll turn over to Ruben, and after Ruben, we'll go to Michael.
Thank you so much, Ruben Jones with Spectrum. Ms. Loshberg-Landis, a question to you. I wonder, would you expect that the airport would receive guidance if ICE were to send agents to the airport? And would there be any benefit in having ICE agents at the airport? And then to the Congresswoman, I wonder what your thoughts are on this new plan being floated by Republicans in the Senate to fund DHS, and then with the exception of parts of ICE, and then vote on that separately in later legislation. Is that something you would support? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. Right now, TSA is running pretty smoothly. We're really happy that things are going well at RDU. During peak hours, pre-check TSA lines run at about 10 minutes, and that's in normal times, and that is also the case now. The standard line is anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, and that's holding true also now. So our TSA workers are showing up and doing their job and doing it well. And as far as I know, there are no plans to bring ICE agents in. And we're certainly demonstrating that there's no need for that our TSA workers are handling things and handling them well.
And thanks for that question, Ruben. I think Democrats have been saying for quite some time now that we are willing to fund other functions of DHS, but not ICE and Border Patrol. And I think we all know that there's certainly appropriate funding and adequate funding for those activities to continue. However, to add more funding until there is accountability for how ICE operates, then we're not willing to provide more funding for that agency that we believe has gone rogue.
Okay, thank you, Ruben. Michael, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, Jennifer. Good afternoon, Congresswoman. Just a follow-up to Ruben's question, a two-parter. One, can you kind of specify the reforms that you are hoping to see regarding ICE and Border Patrol? And second, the grouping in of ICE and Border Patrol. It seems like many of the issues that Democrats have highlighted have been ICE-related or ICE officer-related incidents. What is the thinking at this juncture of funding or a not moving forward with funding for both ICE and Border Patrol, those two agencies in particular?
Well, let me start with your first question. I think that we've made it clear that the reforms that we believe are necessary start with accountability as it relates to those agents having to identify themselves as other law enforcement agents have to do, that there is it's necessary for there to be judicial warrants before you can invade people's homes. We've made it clear that the way that ICE has been operating in the streets is not acceptable. So we do want accountability. We do want transparency. We do want Americans to feel safe. And that is not how these agents have been operating. As it relates to coupling ICE with Border Patrol, I think we've also seen that there are instances where they are acting together and that they are following or using the same tactics against American citizens. And so we want people to be able to feel safe. We're not saying that we want people to be able to commit crimes or people who are not here legally, but we don't want people to live in fear. We don't want American citizens to be apprehended unnecessarily. We want ICE and Border Patrol to follow the law.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like we have one more question from Sharice, and then we will need to wrap. Sharice, you can go ahead.
Thank you. My question, I'm with a WUNC, and my question is for Ms. Nina Schlossberg Landis. I was wondering if you know how many RDU TSA workers have quit since February 14th.
Well, thanks for the question. I'm afraid I don't have an answer for you. We've got about 450 TSA employees who work over at RDU, and they run in a couple of shifts. So we've got, basically 100 on shifts when you stagger them through the week. I can tell you that right now, more than 90% of them are showing up regularly. And I don't know that 8% or whatever is a great departure from what you might see ordinarily with people reporting in to be sick or childcare issues or things like that. So I don't know the answer to if any TSA workers have quit or resigned in the midst of all of this.
Thank you.
Okay, that is all the time we have. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you and have a great rest of your afternoon.